I'd like to call the regular council meeting Tuesday, October 28th, 2025 to order. It was moved by Councilor McCutcheon, second by Councilor Bouchard. Be it resolved that the agenda for the regular council meeting of October 28th, 2025 be approved as printed. All those in favor? The Township of Blackwood, Masson acknowledges the Apatipi and Isinipek Nation traditional territory. We live, play, and work here together, and together we shall build a strong and inclusive community. A reminder to all in attendance that council meetings are recorded and made available to the public on the township website for review. Do we have any disclosure of pecuniary interest in general nature thereof? Seeing none, we'll move on to minutes. Moved by Councilor Gaddery, second by Councilor McCutcheon. Be it resolved that the minutes of October 14th, 2025 regular council meeting be approved as printed. All those in favor? It was moved by Councilor Bouchard, second by Councilor Gaddery. Be it resolved that the consent agenda items listed on the October 28th, 2025 regular council agenda be received by council, and that the recommendations and motions contained therein be supported as presented. Questions or comments? All those in favor? Moving on to our delegation, which is going to relate to a motor vehicle accident. So with council's blessing, when our delegation arrives, we will fit them in during the agenda somehow. Brings us on to new business. Was moved by Councilor Gaddery, second by Councilor Bouchard. Be it resolved that council directs staff to undertake a public survey to gather resident feedback on landfill operating hours. And staff bring forward a report with the survey results and recommendations at a future meeting of council. So, open the floor to Councilor Campbell, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My suggestion would be Matson being the bigger area, and we're the only dump that doesn't have after-hour dumping. So people that work Monday to Friday 8 to 5, they have to rely on going on Saturday. I mean, that's really the first thing you really want to be around your weekend. But Valvani's got 2 nights, and so does Raymore that are after hours. I don't see an issue why we couldn't switch one of those with Matheson.
Okay, so if we take that information and provide to staff, then come up with some suggestions as to alternative landfill hours. Any other comments, Councilor McCutcheon?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Something to take into account. I know the VG dump. The evening hours, the 5 p.m. to 7:30s. There's no lights at the VG dump. So when you're there in the wintertime from the 5 to 7:30, you're relying on a generator and a spotlight with the headlights from the vehicle. So that should be taken into account when they start looking at the hours. Because you gotta have some sort of light at these places. I don't know if Raymore has it. Do they have lights there?
No, I don't believe so.
Yeah, so everywhere that we have nighttime dumping, there's no lights. So something's gotta be addressed in that aspect before we start playing with hours.
Okay, staff can take that into consideration as well. Any other suggestions from council? Councilor Morse?
I'm just thinking that because Matheson landfill is more central, it would make more a sense to make that, if we were gonna put lighting anywhere, to make that the dump that has the latest hours. You're gonna have more people, you can have people go from both directions and who's in the middle, whereas if you just have one on the other side of town, makes it difficult for other people to get to them.
Okay. Does staff have enough information to come back to create the survey to come back?
Yes,
Mr.
I think the only thing we wanna take in consideration, and James, please jump in here, or Lisa. Is when we look at our landfills, there's an expectation on how many years of use we have per landfill. On how much they're being used, so as much as Madison is central, it is not our largest landfill. So if we minimize our hours at other landfills and concentrate more and allow more dumping in Madison, it's going to bring down the amount of years we have of usable dumping in Madison. And then have to look at alternates in the future. So it just taken away from one and giving to another, we would also want to consult with our consultants and our environmental firm that we have for our landfills, because the last thing I think we want to do is take the dump that has maybe a 25 to 30 year life and bring it down to 10 if we start concentrating our dumping at one location. So I'm just not sure on extending hours to one and shortening them at the other. Is our best option if we're looking at extending Madison. Not for a long period of time anyways,
Okay,
just keep that.
yeah, and that can be part of the survey, right, when we're creating the survey? Counselor Bouchard?
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Mayor. I think what Councilor Morris is getting at is just the one night to have it. And I just, basically, instead of having all the other ones open at night, just have the one in Matheson open with lights. Not to have all the, you know, for Valgani, but just instead of having it open in Valgani from 5 to 7:30 and the other ones, you could actually just have Matheson open late hours once a week. So, which is not actually right now, there's no late hours for Matheson at all.
No, correct. Okay,
And then maybe reduce the ones that Valgani and.
Counselor Gabbard?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I understand having nighttime hours and in Matheson, maybe one day a week. But instead of taking away hours, maybe just switch them, give the daytime hours to Raymore or Valvani, wherever you're taking the night from.
Okay. Mr. Jagger?
So just to clarify though, are we saying that we don't want no evening dumping at any site except for Madison with a light? I'm just asking
Yeah.
for clarity here
Yeah.
on, because if we're gonna say evening dumping needs a light. Then if we're doing that in Madison, I'm saying that we're not doing it in Raymore and Valgani and we're not doing any evening dumpings, or? That's what I'm just looking for.
Yeah,
clarity.
I see exactly what you're saying. Counselor Gabbard?
My understanding is, right now, there's 2 nights in Raymore, 2 nights in Valgani, no nights in Matheson. They're just asking to have one night in Matheson and maybe take like one from one place or the other, just switch it around.
Mr. LaFave?
Yeah, we do, Mr. Mayor. Maybe once we get the feedback from the survey, we could look at different possibilities, including extending the life of whichever landfills might be impacted. And maybe doing something like summer hours for evenings at certain landfills, and then not having those evenings in the winter time when the sun goes down earlier. Could be an option, and then maybe having lights at 1 or 2 of the landfills. Again, based on the results of the survey.
Yeah, because the light issue is it's a budgetary issue as well. Not just a coordinating issue, but if we want lights, then now we have to start budgeting now for that. And I don't think that's very cheap. Mr. Jagger?
Yeah, so I would suggest, just to piggyback off of James, let us come up with a survey, let us. Get that survey out into the community, and then we will bring back those findings, and then we can have another conversation on what we think based on those numbers. And what the councilors are talking to residents, what they think the best path forward.
Okay,
Sounds good?
Counselor Gabbard?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to say, I think it's important that we keep some evening hours for people that work during the day and don't have a chance to go.
Yep, very well. Does that cover all of your bases?
Yeah.
Okay. So, the resolution again is be it resolved that Council direct staff to undertake a public survey to gather resident feedback on landfill operating hours and that staff bring forward a report with the survey results and recommendation at a future meeting of council. Call for vote, all those in favor? Thank you, Councilor Council. Was moved by Councilor Cancel, second by Councilor McCutcheon, be it resolved that council approve the following to attend the 2026 Good Road Annual Conference from March 29th to April 1st, 2026. And that the related costs be allocated in the 2026 budget for registration and accommodations. I will open that up to the floor for participants, yes or no, and names, yes or no. Councilor McCutcheon.
Thanks. Thanks, Mr. Mayor. I think we should send two people this one.
Okay. Okay.
Well, I mean, I think you and Duke.
Just kidding.
I'll just put it out there.
Councilor Morris?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I also think that if we are going to send anybody. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I also think if we're gonna send anybody that we should book early, so we can take advantage of the pricing and make sure that you're able to attend everything that we need to attend to.
Yes, that's very true. Some of the evening, networking socials fill up fast if we don't do this, that's why we're on this right away, so. Is the consensus two on the table then?
No.
Okay. Do we need anything else, Sanjay? Do you want names or do you want either discussion up to Mr. Jagger?
Barring any major events, I'm assuming it's gonna be myself and yourself.
Well, let's not have any major events. Okay. I will call for a vote. All those in favor? Thank you. On to reports. Moved by Councillor Bouchard, seconded by Councillor Gathering, be it resolved that council acknowledges receipt of DPS 2025-015 September report as attached for information purposes. Questions or comments for the Director of Public Services? There's got to be at least one question in here. No. Councillor Morris.
I do have a question about the report on the landfills operation. As to speaking what the CEO just spoke about the life expectancy. I was just wondering, I'm having a meeting with him tomorrow to discuss it. And I was just wondering if we could revisit this in the future, in the near future, because I think that this is something that really needs to be addressed. Our cells are filling up quickly and I'm just worried what's happening.
Mr. Jagger?
Yeah, absolutely. We'll start the conversation tomorrow, and start brainstorming on what we can do moving forward and seeing maybe, what we would like to see for the 2026 budget. And then bring something back to, mayor and council, but as always, open to any discussion on any topic.
Any other questions or comments from, council? No, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor? It was moved by Councillor McCutcheon, second by Councillor Cancel, be it resolved that council acknowledges receipt of CLK 2025-032 September monthly report clerk as attached for information purposes. Any questions or comments from the floor? From the council, I should say. No, the odd comment I'm going to quickly make. The community safety and well-being plan that we're working on. At our last DSAB meeting last week, it was brought up that I did mention that we're working on it so that those who are helping us with that are still aware that we need a little assistance, so everybody's aware of it. Councillor Bouchard?
Yes, thanks, Mr. Mayor. There was a comment in there about the generators for Raymore, backup generator for Raymore. Like, you know, we've talked about it multiple times, but nothing's really happened with that, so what's the, and I see Shillington got some funding for it, but I thought they were part of that already to get a generator, so, don't know.
Mr. Jagger?
So, been kind of a team effort on that one, and please, Mr. LaFrey, correct me if I'm wrong, but the cement pad should be poured now in Raymore for the generator. The generator is here and it should be installed anytime.
Okay.
And Shillington was successful at funding. And then there's a pad that's been poured in Valgani for the Valgani Community Hall. They're also getting a generator.
Thank you.
Any other questions for the clerk? I'll call for a vote. All those in favor? Thank you. Was moved by Councillor Bouchard, seconded by Councillor Morris. Be resolved that council acknowledges receipt of T 2025-35 September monthly report, treasury as attached for information purposes. Question or comments from council? Councillor Morris.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm just looking at the line, on legal fees under government, general government administration. And I find 456,000 quite large. Is there a reason that our legal fees were so large?
Yep, that was legal fees. That was a one-time payment that we incurred in 2025. We won't have that payment in 2026. Any other questions for the treasury report? Call for vote. All those in favor? Great. And as a delegation has arrived, I think we'll just finish up our couple reports, if that's okay, and then we'll move on. Did you need to get anything set up prior to while we're?
Presentation, I don't think so.
Okay, perfect. Move on to, moved by Councillor McCutcheon, second by Councillor Cancel. Be it resolved that council acknowledges receipt of MCO 2025-13 September monthly report, MCO as attached for information purposes. Any questions or comments for the municipal compliance officer? Councillor Morris.
I would just like to commend James on this graphic that he did for explaining what the building permits are, the type of work, and the description of the work. The clarity was really, really informative, so thank you.
Perfect. Any other questions, comments from council? Okay, call for a vote. All those in favor? Moved by Councillor Morris, second by Councillor Bouchard. Be resolved that council acknowledges the receipt of DR 2025-010 September monthly report, rec, as attached for information purposes. Questions or comments for the Director of Recreation? Councillor Morris.
Yes, I just want to commend Lisa because what she has done for this town in terms of recreation and giving people stuff to do is amazing. Every day there's something new, every day there's something different, and I just wanted to thank you very much.
Any other questions or comments? Nope. I think as everybody reads this report, quite lengthy and colorful, you can see that recreation has been very busy. And one of the comments that we had made prior to our election was that we're gonna have stuff for kids and adults to do, and you can see that. I'm sure the arena is just taking up a lot of your time, so, which is very nice, but from the arena to the outdoor rinks, the hockey association, I think we're on the right path, absolutely 100%. to your events committee, give them kudos as well. Great job. Any other, oh, Mr. Jagger,
I'll throw a comment also towards Lisa, so she's doing great work. Myself and Lisa also had a meeting today with Kids Sport out of Iroquois Falls. And we are gonna start working with them directly and extending Kids Sport into Black River Madison. And we'll have that on paper shortly, so again, it'll be two communities working together to ensure that kids can enjoy sports regardless of
great,
yeah, so. Another thing she's doing.
perfect, perfect. I'll call for a vote, all those in favor? Moved by Council Gathering, second by Council McCutcheon, be it resolved that council acknowledges the receipt of FC 2025-09 September report, fire department as attached for information purposes. Questions or comments for the fire chief's report? Councilor Morris.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have concern under the other category about the unauthorized vehicles in front of the fire hydrants. And the problem areas include Fourth Avenue and the boat launch. And I also am concerned about the unauthorized vehicles parking at the Matheson Fire Hall. The back lane entrance to the Matheson Fire Hall continues to be blocked. He's working apparently with our Director of Public Services, our CAO, to resolve the two concerns. I'm just wondering, what are you doing to solve these issues?
So the one with the fire hydrants, that's you know, is gonna be an approach with Mr. LaFave and his team on just doing some good bylaw enforcement. As it's heavier in the summer months, seems to taper off in the fall as people aren't using the boat launch as much. As for the parking, to be frank, there is more than enough parking right now at the front of the fire hall. Firefighters have the road to go to get into their fire hall from the front. There's 12 active firefighters in Black River Madison, and there's at least 15 parkings there. What the chief wants is access from the lane here to go in through the back door for himself. So I've been working with James on, we're gonna look at the bylaw and see what needs to be amended or revised there to make sure that there's that one spot that stays open in the back as well for him. And we can have a walk outside tomorrow while you're here. We can go and I can show you around too on what we're trying to obtain there.
And we do have signage on the fence for the fire department.
For the fire department, yeah.
And being here quite often myself, I've never seen anybody park in the fire department parking during the day. So it's being respected by the residents. Any other questions or comments? Councilor Gaddon?
I just wanna mention again my concern that our numbers are a little bit low for firefighters. Hopefully we'll be able to recruit some more.
Myself, Mr. Lee and Mr. Jaguar, we had a meeting with the fire chief, I believe it was last week or the week before, last week.
They all started to blend in.
Yeah, within the last 2 weeks. And that was one of the topics we had was how do we retain, and two, how do we encourage more people? So that would be a tough task to take. But it's something that's necessary. Mr. Jaguar?
Yeah, one of our biggest impediments there right now is with the government and what they're trying to implement on becoming a firefighter 1 and 2 by a certain date. If not, you can no longer be a volunteer. Has put a lot of stress on individuals that ain't there, and we've seen our numbers decline because they believe that they gotta leave because they're not gonna be able to get certified. So we're trying to tell our members, you know, to keep doing what you're doing, keep training, do the best you can, and you know, we're gonna keep working with the government to try to make sure that we don't lose our numbers. But this problem is not unique to Black River Madison right now, and there's been quite a few letters sent to the government in this regard. So we're just gonna have to keep working together and come up with ways on trying to promote our fire department.
Councilor Bouchard?
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Maybe somebody should interview the people leaving and find out why they left.
Mr. Jaguar?
Yeah, we had a pretty lengthy discussion with Chief Lamb. You you know, and on ways that we can support him moving forward with people leaving and how people are coming in. And staff is gonna start to work closely with the fire department to make sure that we're hitting on all those things.
On that note, Councilor Bouchard, we have three individuals that have resigned. Brody Lajeunesse, Caprice Turner, and Eric Carrier, and I think not knowing the reasons for their resigning, but they did give anywhere from 13 months up to 3.5 years of their family time to our community. So I think we owe a bit of a gratitude towards those individuals for taking a step forward. So it's unfortunate we lose them, but it's thankful we had them for the time they were here. And as well, back in September, I believe we had the fire department organized the muscular dystrophy ride. And I don't know if any of you were on it, but it was a great ride here in the community. I believe I think you have the final figure here. Was it $7,000?
$7,000 from Dale Freeze and Curtis Penny. I'd like to recognize those two.
Yeah, so Dale Freeze and Curtis Penny organized that, $7,000. So it was a great night, and it's nice to see members of our community stepping forward and helping charities, good causes. Any other comments from council? Call for a vote. All those in favor? Moved by Councillor Cancel, second by Councillor McCutcheon, be resolved that council acknowledges receipt of the library CEO monthly report for September 25 and receive the minutes of the library board meeting held September 8th, 2025 as attached for information purposes. Questions or comments regarding the library report? Councillor Morris.
I just wanted to commend Margaret Ann Creasy for doing such a wonderful job with the library. And they have a committee called Friends of the Library, and they raised over $7,000 for 9 computers that will be located in Raymore and Matheson. And this group also raised money for a new fridge, kitchen cupboards, items for Logan's Hideaway. And the group consists of 4 members: Margaret Ann Creasy, Kay Pepper, Helen Loughy, and Doreen Lockwood. So I find that an incredible feat that they were able to save the township money by raising all these funds by selling baskets, bake sales. They work hard, they spend their own time, their own money, and it's for the better of the community.
Great words. Councillor Bouchard?
I think, Mr. Mayor, I just wanted to double check to see, did the door at the library get repaired? Like there was a plan there to do some.
Not yet. The ramp has been repaired, but not the door. And it's, when you read the report, it's great to see the amount of usage the library is getting, which is great. And I was there at the open house, Councillor Morse was there as well, last Thursday. And it was nice to see what they have to offer. And it was a pretty nice bake sale as well. And actually Mr. Kyle was there too, so appreciate it. No, any more questions on the library report? Call for a vote. All those in favor? Which brings us to our amended agenda for daycare information. So I will just turn the floor over to you, Shannon, and
I don't know if you'll be able to see my present. Yeah, just give me one. Okay.
your papers on it.
I know.
Well. And then after we're done with the delegation, we'll move into our bylaws and. The Blue Jays should be on by vote then.
Okay, so you let me know when we're ready for the next slide. Okay, perfect.
And for the left side of the table, you have you can follow along as well. Okay.
So, thank you, Mayor Bayamont Diamond and council. My name is Shannon Costello. I'm the Director of Children's Services for the Cochrane VSAT. I've been in the role since January 2020, just before COVID. So it's been an interesting ride for the last 5 years in my role. And lots has changed about childcare in the province and in the country. So today I'm just going to go over a few things about what our services are and what some of our plans are for Black River Mountain. Next slide, please. So the Crawford BSAB is responsible for delivering social and children's services within the Cochrane district. So Moosonee to Hearst to Black River Mountain and Timmins area. We are majority of our funding for the Children's Services Department is provincially led. We have a budget of $32 million, which is a mix of provincial and federal funding. That has increased significantly because of CWOC, and I can explain that to you a little bit more in the slides. So Mayor Diamond is one of the representatives on our board, which is served by members of Timmins Mayor and Council and area board members, area communities. So next slide, please. The four pillars of the DSAB are paramedic services, community development services, housing, and our Department of Children's Services. So we work on all the community planning for children 0 to 12 under the Ministry of Education, guarding on childcare and early on in child and family services. This also includes special needs resources for children that access those services. Next slide, please. So CWELC. So the CWELC stands for the Canada-wide Early Learning and Childcare Agreement. That was a provincial and federal agreement in March 2022. Ontario was the last province to sign on with the federal government to bring the Canada-wide Early Learning Program to the province. The focus of the Canada-wide was to lower childcare fees, increase access, improve quality of childcare, support inclusion, and that's not only children with needs, but inclusion of children of diversity, as well as enhanced data and reporting to both the provincial and federal government. Next slide, please. So as of March 28th, 2022, the landscape of childcare has definitely changed. Prior to that, our budget was $11 million. We took mainly care of fee subsidy, giving general operating grant support to our childcare centers across the district. We had seen very little access to quality changes due to the fact that it was mainly a parent fee-led system. Prior to this date, it was a 90% parent fee system and only 10% funding. It is the direct opposite now. It has gone through different functions. When it first started, it was 25% fee reduction. The following year, we've seen a 52.75% fee reduction. And in January 1st, 2025, we've seen a complete switch to not just a free fee reduction, but a total system change. So that's when our budget went up significantly. So we pay for the majority of the operation of the childcare. However, under this new funding formula and new guidelines, we are only allotted a certain amount of spaces that we can develop and grow. And if the license provider that were grandfathered didn't sign on to this program, we were no longer allowed to fund them as of January 1st. No support for play equipment, no support for additional wage subsidy or fee subsidy to parents, unless they were a client prior to. However, in our district, we're happy to say all 38 centers signed on to the CWELC agreement and have successfully been going through the process. Next slide, please. So in the district of Cochrane, we have 2,444 spaces, and it's pretty much split up 50-50 French and Anglophone spaces at this time. We do know that there is a need for additional Anglophone spaces across our district. As well, the Francophone centers are seeing a significant need for numbers of educators. They're probably sitting at a 40% utilization right now with empty seats across the district because of lack of staffing. the Anglophone centers, we do have a some shortage of spaces due to lack of staffing. Their spaces are there, just can't open because they don't have staff. However, this past year it has gone up significantly, and we are looking at analyzing that data by the end of December to show some significant increase. So there's two different categories of spaces: a community-based space and a school-based space. A school-based space is anything that's in a school, and community-based is obviously anything out of the school. So this is very key and significant for some of the funding that we've received. Next slide, please. We also we are not only just the funders of Early On centers, we're also the ones who manage it. In childcare, there is a governing licensing body through the Ministry of Education. And with Early On centers, we manage not only the funding, but we also manage the quality, and we also directly operate one center, but we'll be looking at expansion of that. As right now we have 7 service providers. That makes it quite difficult to have consistent programming across the district. So in 2024, we had 31,054 visits to our Early On center, and our Matheson center that's located in the Joseph H. Kennedy Public School has had some significant visits compared to York Falls and the areas around it. You have a great educator there. Her name is Tiffany. She does great things. Early On programs are for families with children 0 to 6. They are free, no cost for families, and it is a drop-in parent engagement center. So it's not a drop-off center where you can drop off children. It's where you go with your children to engage with them. We have people that are grandparents that watch their children that come and have fun at our center, etc. Next slide, please. So in childcare, there are different age categories. So infant is for 0 to 18 months. And you can only build a new childcare center. You can only put a room for 10. And yet the ratio of families is 1 to 3. Well, not families, educator to children is 1 to 3. Toddler is 18 months to 30 months with 2 RACs in a room of max of 15. One educator for 5 children. So you can have an unqualified staff in that age category. Same with preschool, which is 31 months to 3.8 years. You can have a maximum of 24 per group and 1 RACE for every 8 children. Kindergarten, the ratio is 1 to 13 with a maximum group size of 26. So that's children that are in year 1 and year 2 of kindergarten. And then school age is grades 1 to typically grade 5, where it's 1 RACE for every 15 children. Maximum size of 30. Home child care is a different beast. Licensed home child care, you have 6 children maximum per home, and a max of 3 under the age of 2 years of age. If you're an unlicensed home, you can have babysit other children within the home, in your home, but you cannot over the maximum of 5 children. And you cannot have more than 2 children under the age of 2, or that is deemed childcare in earlier years. Next slide, please. So family grouping room is another age category, category of childcare. So when you look back the last slide, each age category, you can't have children of another age mixed into that group unless you have a special type license, and it's only 1 age category. So this makes it, you have to have a significant wait list in order for that to remain financially stable and consistent for years in order to build. A family grouping childcare is a totally different type of childcare. It was created for rural communities. We do not have many in the Cochrane district, but it is becoming more and more an opportunity to build or create a space where you can accommodate a lot of children. So the age ranges for a family childcare room is 0 to 12. So there's no limits. Of like the ages of the child can vary. So if you're an infant and you're moving up to toddler, you don't have to worry about switching a room or finding another room. Or you wouldn't be able, or the scenario where there was no room in the toddler room, you would lose childcare. So a family grouping room really works well in rural communities. You can't have more than 6 children under 24 months per group, but if you're able to make it work, this is the most efficient and financially stable kind of childcare that you can open, especially in a community such as Black River Matheson that has 0 licensed childcare. Next slide. So as part of CWOC, the Access and Inclusion Framework came out in 2023, and that has 5 pillars in it. Quality, inclusion, affordability, access, and again, data and reporting. Next slide, please. As part of that, each CMSM DSAB, so every consolidated municipality or DSAB, was provided an allocation of spaces. So on December 19, 2022, we were provided with this space allocation. So we were allowed to open 21 new spaces in 2022, which December 19th didn't give us much of a time to open by December 31st. In 2023, we were allotted 62 spaces. 2024, 49, and those were school-based spaces for a project that was already approved in 2017 at St. Joseph's School in South Porcupine as a capital build. 2025, we were allotted 37 community spaces. In 2026, 16. We had 3 weeks to come up with a growth plan with no data. So we went to the census and looked at areas across the district which had 0 spaces, such as your community and Smooth Rock Falls. Looked at other spaces that we knew had significant waiting lists, as well as what projects were already approved or submitted for capital funding. This development came with 0 capital funding. So we're allowed to fund with operations, but we're not allowed to fund any new capital builds. We did ask for an additional space allotment, and at that time we weren't given any. So we also had at that time we knew we had a project in Timmins being approved by capital. We hadn't received the letter, so we put in for 49 spaces for there. South Porcupine we already talked about. At that point, we said Matheson, we were going to try to attempt 26 spaces. And in Smooth Rock Falls, the same, 26 spaces. Next slide, please. We did some advocacy to the province about what the needs were as we learned more and more through our focus groups and trying to analyze certain centers' data. We knew we had 0 data for waitlists in this area in Smooth Rock Falls. So we used census data and the number of children 0 to 4 that were included in the 2021 census. We have recently put out a childcare desert survey in your community, as well as in across the district. Black River Matheson has been the one that has answered the most in that survey. However, it's still open till Friday. Whoever's on that survey will be called in order to be put onto our centralized wait list that opens up on January 1st. So whoever answered that survey will get put into our centralized system that's opening live on January 1st. Up until this January, there is no central wait list across the district. So we're currently just going off of what centers are reporting to us that is on the current wait list. So that is changing across the district. All centers will have to follow a centralized wait list policy procedure to ensure equitable access to childcare across our district. We also received additional spaces. We received some additional school-based spaces for a project in Timmins, as well as a project in Smooth Rock Falls, that the center is built. And currently in the licensing process, it was finished construction early spring. However, it's still not open yet due to some complications with licensing. So we have allocated, we looked at what kind of age groups were in your community. And our suggestion is to look at something at the grouping space in your community. Next plan. Fine. So we have been very active in talking to your CAO and your mayor about the possibility of building a new center through our Cochrane District Local Housing Corporation on the property you mentioned in the picture here. Sorry, I didn't write down the address. We are looking at 2 family grouping rooms in this build, along with a program area for possible early on programming and other types of child-led programming that could happen in that space. This will allow 30 spaces instead of 26 in your community, and I think would be a great start for a not-for-profit to register for a license. That area will also is very close to the park, where we could do some joint programming with your recreation department, as we do a lot of 0-6 plus 7 to 12 programming with our children's services department. So I am next slide. So the next kind of steps in moving forward, we would have to secure the property and negotiate a deal to secure the property in that area. Then we would have to prepare with CDLHC to create a development plan and have that approved by our board to take that on and take on the mortgage. We do have infrastructure funding that was one time given to us by the province at $1.5 million. We are willing to spend an entire $1.5 million on this project and then work with CDLHC to take out a mortgage for the rest. As we do know, both spaces would be able to pay rent through our new CWELC funding formula. And then the RFP would go ahead once a construction is set and the plans are created. We would, while the process of construction is starting, we will then apply, put an RFP out for a provider, which then they will be able to start the licensing process, as the licensing process does take up to a year sometimes. We've learned from other construction jobs, as the one in Smooth Rock, that needs to kind of happen at the same time in order for it to be open on time. With the infrastructure funding, we have to guarantee and have a signed agreement with CDLHC by December 31st, 2025. And in there, it must open by December 31st, 2026. That should be significant enough time as long as the process starts to move soon. The goal is to have it open by the fall of 2026, but we all know construction, sometimes things take forever, and licensing also then has to be approved by the health unit and everything, the fire, etc., and make sure it opens on time. So giving us a fall date, but hoping that it needs to be open December 31st. So I'm now ready for any questions that you may have on this project.
We need some lights, please. Well, thank you, Shannon, very much. For those of you that don't know, Shannon had to take a ton of detours to get here tonight, so we are very appreciative of you. I'll just read the resolution and we'll open the floor. It was moved by Councillor McCutcheon, seconded by Councillor Cancel. Be resolved that Council received the delegation from CDSB, Shannon Costello, the child service expansion. All those in favor? Okay, I will now open the floor to questions to Shannon. Councillor Morris.
So Shannon, out of the, am I clear on the 32 million $32 million annual budget, is that just?
Yeah, that's to operate all the childcare centers across our district.
Okay, and that's so the mortgage that we were talking about would come out of your budget?
So the, each center would be provided through a funding formula. It's very based off of the numbers of children, that the space is licensed for. The funding is directly, like, it's literally just punched in the calculation, and that would be able to cover, the rent as long as they remained at a high occupancy rate.
Councillor Bouchard.
Thanks. Are you guys able to get funding from the corporations and stuff like that to help with the project, or does it have to stay strictly with within the government scope?
Well, in order for us to use the infrastructure funding, it does have to remain through a not-for-profit. That's why going through CDLHC will help that. I mean, there's always ways that we can. If someone corporate tries to provide funding to that not-for-profit provider, it will go against their operation formula and they'll receive less from the province.
Councillor Morris.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I was just wondering, you said that Black River Matheson showed the most interest in your desert survey
To date.
to date.
To date,
Today,
yeah.
but the only so far, right? So was it a significant amount of?
Well, my staff are still verifying everything, but by the looks of it, from what they told me, that it should be able to open with the family grouping style. If we were to open an infant toddler or a toddler preschool room, they may not financially be stable.
Okay, and you are possibly thinking of moving the early on center there as well?
Or joint programming.
Or
Any other questions? Councillor Morris.
when you had your earlier informational session, I think it was in August, correct? I happened to be there and I noticed that there were so many young mothers that were desperate. I think there were 4 women that showed up, and out of the 4 women, there were 7 spots that were immediately needed, like needed yesterday or last year. Are you finding that, like, is that something that you're seeing a lot of? Because of you said the 9 to 10 is now gonna be 10 to 9. So it's gonna help a lot of young families as well, right?
Yes, and that's why we think the family grouping is probably the most, the smartest way of approaching,
Advantageous for.
Yes, because, so right now, a lot of them seem to be toddler age that I've had conversations for. So at 30 months, if we don't make a family grouping room and we only make a preschool room, you can only move up once, and you may not, it may be full, and you may not, so you may have childcare for a little bit and then not after. Yeah, and it's really, you can't mix the age groups that way, where in family grouping, you can take a larger amount. Or we could even look at, like, on a PD day, we can take some of the school age children as well. And looking at those kind of ways. We're also looking at different ways of offering summer care, which that program room might be able to help with school age and not have to depend on school. So with early on, for example, we can't offer consistent programming in the summer as the school boards don't allow us, and they're in the summer all the time.
Any other questions for Shannon? No? Okay. Thank you very much. I'll let you sit down. We're just gonna take this a little bit further, because obviously we saw some deadlines there. So allow council to now ask the question perhaps on the nuts and bolts of the proposal. At DSAB, we passed a resolution that if the township of Black River Massillon was to donate that piece of property, they would take care of legal and survey costs. And in return for that, they would provide us a daycare. So obviously, if DSAB looking for a decision by December 31st here, so that it gets it on time, I think we should start asking questions here, and perhaps if it's a go, or if it's a good idea, we can start throwing some ideas around the table. So I'm gonna open the floor to questions or comments or anything like that. Okay. Apparently, I'm gonna table a motion before we even start discussion. I'll read the motion and then I'll get moving in a second. Whereas the Cochrane District Social Service Administration Board, CDSB, has proposed to acquire the township-owned property at 429 Park Lane for community service purposes. And whereas council deems the property surplus to municipal needs and recognizes the community benefit of the CDSB's proposed use. Now therefore be it resolved that council authorize the sale of 429 Park Lane to the CDSB for the nominal sum of $1. And that the chief administrative officer be authorized to negotiate, finalize, and execute all necessary agreements and documents in consultation with the township solicitor to give effect to this resolution, including any terms or conditions deemed appropriate to protect the municipality's interests. So if I can get a move in a second or two, open the discussion on that. Moved by Councillor Cancel. Second by Councillor Marsh. So I will now open the floor to questions or comments regarding that resolution. Councillor Cancel?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think it's a great idea. We need the childcare in this community. There's a lot of young families with a lot of young children. And moving forward with this proposal, I think would be great. And to allow Mr. Giguere to take care of the rest and iron out details with Shannon, that'd be best.
Sure, thank you. Councillor Marsh?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I attended your informational session and when I said, seeing the young people that were desperate, that's the word I'm going to use for childcare. It kind of was really sad. So I just wanted to state that I'm 100% behind this project and I will be voting in favor of it. Because this proposal will be for the greater good of the entire community. I don't have grandchildren in this area, so I don't have any, piece of pride, but I recognize that quality childcare is the backbone of any strong community. We need this. This community needs licensed childcare center because we have currently zero, right? Zero. And so that makes our families ineligible for the Ontario fee subsidy. And with the lack of childcare, I remember Rebecca Pepper at the meeting saying her mother looks after her children and she said, I want my mom to have a life too. So that was heartbreaking actually. And we want mines, we want industries to open here. And how can we attract people to this area if we have nothing to offer them? People with the young miners that want to come here, they're not going to want to open, they're not going to want to move here. How many childcare spaces do you have? I also think that it's a good repurpose for the unused municipal land. The building is currently costing taxpayers for upkeep and heating. It would also show Black River Matheson's commitment to its residents. It would signal to provincial and federal governments that Black River Matheson is investment ready and we are open for business. It also would provide future tax, water, sewer benefits, while the taxpayers will avoid demolition and maintenance costs, correct? Like you're going to be responsible for the demolition of the building eventually?
That is something we'll be including in that.
Okay, so that's another bonus for us. So I'd just like to urge my fellow councillors to consider the donation of the property for a licensed childcare center and possibly future residential units. I believe that's included because it's a win-win for our area. The proposal will address 4 critical needs: childcare, housing, economic development, and the most important, it would provide support for our young families.
Thank you, Councillor Marsh. Any other?
No, I can't top that.
No.
There's nothing left to say.
Yeah. Councillor Bouchard?
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. I think as after discussing it a little further and stuff like that, I understand the logic of it and stuff like that. And then we probably, reading in the report, there was something about severing off the playground from the property.
Yeah.
I think we should put that in the.
Yeah, that's where the severance would.
But we should put that in top priority so that there's no hiccups. For them to find out later on, well, there's an issue, we can't sever it or whatever.
Yeah, and that would be some of the controls that Mr. Giguere would take care of. Mr. Giguere?
Yeah, absolutely, your worship, if I can through you, it's been a pleasure working with this group and their vision, and we are in line, so. There'll be no issues with the severance. We already have a tentative deal in place for demolishing. The old center that is there and how we're going to divvy that up. And what we're going to take for current development and what's gonna be left for future development. In my opinion, it's a win-win, you know, anytime there's any kind of. New growth in our community, all the grocery stores, gas stations, so everything is gonna get a boom right off the start. You know, just looking at our rec department last weekend, we had our first games here and you couldn't get a seat at the Cozy with a couple of hockey games in town, so. Any kind of growth is good and we're excited to be part of this.
Absolutely. And another thing that that a local daycare will do is it's gonna take moms and dads or aunts and uncles, whatever, off of the roads, driving their children to a babysitter or a daycare facility in another community, which is something we have to get off the highway, so. Any other questions or comments from council? Council Marsh,
I don't know if I'm doing this correctly, but I'd like to put forth a motion to direct staff to enter an agreement with the Cochrane District Service Board. Because I think time is of the essence, and I don't think we should sit on this. They're willing to do this. I think we should just jump into it and help our young families out.
okay, we have this motion on the floor,
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh,
motion is on the
oh,
floor,
it's on floor, so.
Yeah.
Can we vote on it? Is that how it works? Sorry.
you betcha.
I have zero training. I'm new to this.
So do I need to, read the resolution again, or are we good? No, we're good? Well, on a call for a vote, all those in favor?
Thank
Carried.
you.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Shannon.
Very excited.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, very excited, looking forward to this.
We are too. If you wanted to leave, we'll allow you to.
Safe travel.
I will be in contact.
Is anyone aware the highway's open yet?
It was open it was starting to float, so.
Okay,
Yeah.
please,
It's okay.
thank
I'm
you.
a
once again.
firefighter life from Southport, so I know what it's like.
Thank you again. All right, council will move back into bylaws. Was moved by Councilor Campbell, second by Councilor Morse, be it resolved that bylaw number 2025-67 being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the Council of the Corporation of Township of Blackburn, Maston be read a first, second, and third time and finally passed this 28th day of October 2025. All those in favor? Moved by Councilor McCutcheon, second by Councilor Campbell, be it resolved that bylaw number 2025-58 being a bylaw to impose a service fee for credit card payments be read a first and second time this 28th day of October 2025. All those in. We're gonna open the floor, right? Sorry, this is first and second, so I'm gonna open the floor to questions or comments from council. Councilor Bouchard.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. We don't have our financial person here today, but I wanted to find out. The fees that was mentioned there, is it on the base? So basically, if you're trying to do a $2,000 transaction, is there a specific fee? From, let's say, Visa, or is it a percentage of the amount being charged? Which is not really clear in the report, maybe. Mr. Council would know.
Can you answer that before we go to council or?
It was a percentage on like, if we go like with a 3%, it's 3% on whatever you're charging.
Whatever you're paying at the time.
So if it's a $25 bill and you want to charge it on your Visa, then you would pay a 3% surcharge on that $25.
Or the $25 on the $25. Councilor Bouchard?
Yeah, it's not what I was asking. I was asking what Visa is charging us.
Yeah.
Not what
Oh,
we
okay,
want to charge.
okay. Yeah.
I thought there was a second.
They're all different fees, eh? Visa, MasterCard,
Yeah,
American Express, so it's,
just need the average.
okay, Councilor Cancel?
At my shop, I use Moneris. Moneris actually sends you a monthly statement. In each monthly statement, it gives you a breakdown of all the fees, so Visa, MasterCard, American Express, debit cards. It gives you all that, right? let's say that Visa is at 2.2% on every bill. So if somebody comes into my shop, they pay $2,500 bill, I get charged 2.2% on that $2,500. So what I wanna see is, I don't know what company you guys are using, if you're using Moneris or somebody else. We need to see that breakdown of what each card is being charged. Which is what I believe Councilor Bouchard was asking for. So like, we need to see what Visa is charging, what MasterCard is charging, American Express. And then we need to figure out what the average card usage is. To figure out if we're gonna go percentage fee. Or if we're gonna go a $25 surcharge. The other question is, are we allowed to make money off this, or are we to break even? Cause I know we don't wanna lose money using the debt machine,
Mhm.
but. Like, if we decide we're gonna go with the 3% service fee. And everybody's paying with a Visa, we're being charged 2.2%, and we're making 0.8% on that. Are we allowed?
Mr. Lee?
Through the mayor, there's specific rules for user fees, but I'm pretty sure for processing payments, you can make money off it.
Okay, so
It's gotta be revenue neutral.
I'll just remind council that this is just the first and second reading, so Mr. Jagger?
It would be helpful if council was leaning more towards a flat fee. If you know you're leaning more towards a flat fee or a percent fee, so that we can maybe. Do some more
Research.
work and
Yeah.
research and see what way. Your 2.1 for Visa or whatever one, we looked at lots and. We didn't see anything below 3, so I'm not sure if there is different user fees for different businesses or whatnot, but. You know, so if we're looking at percent, then we can for sure look into.
Direct our attention towards that.
Yeah, but if we're looking closer to a flat fee, then.
Okay, just trying to get a feel for it. tonight.
Yeah, and if
Okay.
not, then we can, if there's not enough information, then we can go and get more information and bring it back.
Okay, Councilor Council?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The issue with the flat fee is if you're coming in, you're paying a smaller bill. You're paying more than you should be, so at the end of the day, the township would be making money off of a flat fee. And then it can go vice versa, now if you're coming in paying a $6,000 bill and you're paying a $25 fee, now you're paying a lot less interest, so the township's still losing money. So I think a percentage would be best, but we're gonna have to find like a happy medium based on what company we're with. Now, if you guys are saying you guys can't find anybody below 3%, the other thing that I've done is you can call the companies and argue and get a lower rate.
Mr. Jagger?
So if the consensus is to do more research on the percent, we will go back and do some homework and come back with more information
Okay, for the third reading.
for the third reading.
Okay. Councilor Gary?
I know, I was just thinking it would be simpler to have a flat fee. But. Like you said, you could be paying a lot more or a lot less. With the flat fee.
There's more room for error on the larger ticket items. Councilor Bouchard?
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. The other thing we could look at, I know that there was a lot of pushback to stop using the credit cards altogether. But I think we should, a lot of places only allow you to use either Visa or this and that, and then we should just say. No, we're still gonna offer it, but this is the only ones that we're gonna offer to pay with.
Mhm.
Which minimizes a lot of dealing with different companies and stuff like that, so there seems like there was like 1,200 transactions. In whatever period that you put down there for like $24,000, which is a small percentage. Of people using it, like for myself, I use it with my Visa to pay for the dump fee, the dump at the dump, but. Other than that, so maybe there's another way of looking at it, make it more user friendly for our financial department.
Okay. So tonight, I'm sorry, Councilor Morris?
I did have a conversation with the treasurer before she went on vacation, and I had asked her preference, and she did have some valid concerns. She said a flat fee would allow the staff to be able to process it easier and quicker, because I was receptionist for 10 years, and I know that when the reception desk gets really busy, you got phone ringing, you got people standing there, you've got a calculator, you're trying to figure out how much is on, you're paying $2,700 tax bill, say if we say it's 3%, she's gotta figure that out. And then charge accordingly, and then there's more room for error in that way. So, and it also puts it takes a lot of extra per time, so you're paying for her time to stand around. I figured out at 1,262 transactions over 7 months, she does 10 a day, like 10 a day that she has to deal with. So that's a lot of figuring for this, for whomever is going to be doing it. Or 200 a month, that's a lot. So if you have one person doing it while she's trying to do other things, that's not the easiest thing to do.
Okay, Counselor Cancel?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. On that, if you're coming in to pay for $40 to get a dump pass and dump a trailer loader, and they're charging you $25 to pay with your Visa, that's a little unreasonable.
Mhm.
So I guess we're just trying to give staff tonight which direction we're leaning towards. So that we're not gonna end up doing two.
I believe we need to do a little more research on the fees, exactly what they're costing us for Visa, MasterCard.
Yeah.
And we'll bring some more concrete numbers back per user, and we can have another discussion. I think would be a good start.
Counselor McCutcheon?
Mr. Mayor, I hate to make it even more complicated, but if you could break it down to what companies are being used the most, like Visa, MasterCard, then we can actually focus on, like, if 90% of it's Visa, we only accept Visa. It's like Costco, you can only use a MasterCard, you can't use anything else, right? So that would help with our user fees and coming up with the number we need to be revenue neutral and still be fair. If we just got down to like, okay, if you wanna use a credit card, it's a Visa.
Visa,
Or-
MasterCard, you the same.
Yeah, whatever, like, see what the biggest usage was, cause if like we have American Express and we have Discovery and Discover and all that. We may never even use those, it may never be a transaction, so we can probably get into a better package.
So I see the trend here is leaning towards percentage fees. If we can direct staff to come back with a more detailed report on user fees on credit cards, the most popular ones, the fees. And as well, obviously, we'll be in a better position if the treasurer will be here at that time for that report.
Mhm.
Is that something that we'll lean towards then? Okay. I can keep the same resolution then? Do you want to change it?
So right now we have one tabled for first and second reading, but no
Yeah.
direction has been given because the bylaw itself is actually blank right now. We can still bring it back for a third reading, we're gonna have to.
Yeah.
But I would pass this one for first, second, and then pass another resolution directing staff to bring back the detailed report, just so we have it in writing.
Okay, so while we do this, you're gonna write a resolution?
Yeah, so you can pass that one, I'll draft this one up.
Okay. So. Be it resolved, the bylaw number 2025-58 being a bylaw to impose a service fee for credit card payments be read a first and second time this 20th day of October 2025. All those in favor? And then our next resolution will be resolved that council direct staff to bring back a report with a breakdown on fees by credit card type and usage at a future council meeting. Do I get a move in a second on that, please? Council Council, Council Gathering? All those in favor? Carried. Moved by Councillor Cancel, second by Councillor Gathering, be it resolved that bylaw number 2025-63 being a bylaw to amend bylaw 2020-07 procedural bylaw be read a first and second time this 20th day of October 2025. Again, this is the first and second reading only, and you'll see in the bylaw, in the agenda package, that what we're sort of going back towards what we've always really simply had. So as long as the individuals can provide a question to the clerk prior to noon on the day of the meeting, we'll do our best to answer the question. We're just going to eliminate the in-person live at the council meeting, but staff's always here to answer questions throughout the day regardless. Mr. Lee?
Through the mayor, I just want to point out that per the bylaw that we're amending, every question will be answered in writing for me. So even if it doesn't get answered at the agenda meeting, it will be responded to in writing.
Councilor Bouchard?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, I just. For me personally, I think we should have just left it the way it was, like, we started in some very. turmoil times. And we didn't really have any issues with people asking questions at the end of meetings, everybody was like, you know, in good faith, like, when they were answering the questions. And to put more work onto the staff to review all the questions and all that, I mean. I don't know, to me, I think we could have just left it the way it was previously, I don't see. You know, you gotta send this to no more than 200 words, and I mean, like, come on, like.
That's always been here though, that,
For the question, like in person? I'm talking about question in person.
no, but if an individual wanted to ask a question at any time, he could through council. So
Yeah,
that's always been in place, those parameters. But obviously. Our staff our council is in a better position than we were a year ago. And transparency and openness is crazy here. So if someone wants to ask a question, they can come in, ask at the front door, so. I think what this can do is just gonna eliminate. Some of the questions that people ask off the cuff. So we're just trying to ensure that Mr. Lee can review the question prior to, and it's going to ensure that they're gonna get an answer. So we're just going back to pre 2025. Any other questions or comments from council? And this again is the first and second reading only. No, I'm gonna call for a vote. All those in favor? Carried. Thank you. It was moved by Council Cancel, second by Council McCutcheon, be it resolved that bylaw number 2025-66 being a bylaw to stop up and close road allowance abutting 331 and 339 Fourth Avenue be read a first, second, and third time and finally passed this 20th day of October 2025. And this is just housekeeping from previous meeting. Okay. Call for a vote. All those in favor? Moved by Council Gadry, second by Council Cancel, be it resolved that bylaw number 2025-68 being a bylaw to adopt an asset management plan 2025 be read a first, second, and third time and finally passed this 20th day of October 2025. Again, this is a housekeeping item and helping with the application for funding. Any questions from council? Council Gadry.
I don't have a question, but I think this is a long time coming. We should have had this a long time ago. So I'm very happy to see that we have it now.
Staff's working hard. So we're starting to get our books in order. Councillor Marsh?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This asset management plan, is it prepared by a third party?
Yes,
Was?
in conjunction with township staff.
Okay,
Councillor Marsh?
thank you, Mr. Mayor. I noticed that I had received one, probably 2 weeks ago, and then I received another one, last week. And there was a significant change in it. And I just wondered where that came about. I believe the first one said that taxes would be raised, it was suggested that taxes be raised 5.8 over 15 years, and then it dropped down in the second one up to 2.6, I believe, over 15 years. Where did that come from? Like who's?
There was the visa fees on
I just wonder where those figures came from and who decided that.
Mr. Lee?
Through the mayor, the original one that I sent you was one that we passed for 2024. This
Okay.
is the one for 2025 to remain in compliance.
Okay,
After updated discussion, these are the revised suggestions. The main thing with the asset management plan, they're suggestions, so you have to adopt one to remain in compliance, but council does not have to adopt suggestions through budget. These are just guidelines that the government wants municipalities to follow.
okay, thank you.
Any other questions regarding the asset management plan? Okay, call for a vote. All those in favor? Moved by Councillor Moore, second by Councillor Cancel, be it resolved that this regular council meeting is hereby adjourned at 7:49 PM. All those in favor? Carried. Thank you very much, everybody. Congratulations.